There's a new Fox News electoral map out tonight, and Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry reports.
Britt, no Republican has won the White House without carrying Florida since Calvin Coolidge in 1924. That's why both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were there today, and why this dramatic move in the Fox News electoral scorecard tonight suggests this race could be swinging in the Democrats' direction. Look at the map tonight. Florida had been a toss-up state. We are now putting it in the lean Democrat column. Important because it's the biggest battleground state of them all, a mother lode you see there of 29 electoral votes. We're seeing a shift in the polling in the wake of that controversial Trump tape, but also the Clinton camp is doing a better job on the ground registering new voters. Now check out Nevada out west. All eyes turn there next week, of course, when our own Chris Wallace will moderate the third and final presidential debate. We're also moving it from toss-up to lean Democrat. The polls moving in Clinton's direction as well, but also the Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid has a formidable machine to help get out the vote, while this is one of many states where there's questions looming about Trump's ground game. In a close race, Nevada's 6 electoral votes could be critical, but the bottom line is that tonight, as we digest these new numbers, this does not seem like such a tight battle. We have Trump now, you can see up here, at 187 electoral votes, 44 electoral votes still up for grabs, but that doesn't get him to 270, the magic number to win, and Clinton well over 270 at 307. Meanwhile, Ohio still listed as a toss-up. The Buckeye State had been trending Trump, now seems to be back to a dead heat. We're going to be watching Ohio very closely the next time we update this scorecard to see where that's heading. Britt?
Okay, Ed, thank you very much. There is one new poll out today that, while continuing to show a significant lead for Clinton, nonetheless suggests that Donald Trump had gained at least some ground from the debate on Sunday night. As you can see there, it's a 9-point lead there nationally, down from an 11-point lead. That's not a lot, but that's something. To discuss the polls and the new map, I'm joined now by Larry Sabato, director of the University of Virginia Center for Politics. Larry, your thoughts about our map? Does it roughly square with what you've been seeing, or what?
Yes, it's very, very close to what the crystal ball, our website here at the University of Virginia, has had. We don't allow toss-ups, Britt. We make ourselves make a choice, which is difficult sometimes, and we actually have Arizona, which you have as a toss-up in Trump's column, and we have Ohio and North Carolina in Clinton's column. So we have Clinton up to 341 electoral votes. You know, could some of them switch before November? Of course. And as you mentioned, the high point for Clinton probably was the weekend after the sex talk tape was released. Then I think basically Trump reaffirmed his support among the Republican base. They returned to him. He's back well over 80% with Republicans, despite what Paul Ryan did. And if that continues, then it will enable him to keep this within a certain number of points, 5, 6, 7, something like that.
Well, we got, as we've talked about often, Mitt Romney got 93% of the Republican vote on Election Day 4 years ago. Trump had sunk, I think, down into the low 70s over the weekend when things were really in a trough for him. It does look, as you say, as if he's recovered some. In which states do you think there may be some movement back toward him?
Well, the first place we would look once we get new polling data would be Ohio, because just a couple weeks ago we had Ohio along with Iowa, 2 key swing states, leaning to Trump. Ohio's close enough so that could go back and forth quite easily. I agree with what Ed said about Florida and North Carolina. Once you look at how the Democrats are banking votes, banking early votes in a year when incredibly 40% of Americans probably will be voting in advance, sometimes well in advance of November 8th. It really matters, and the Clinton campaign just has a far better ground game, get out the vote program than the Trump people do.
Yeah, it has appeared that Trump is going to rely almost entirely on the Republican National Committee, which has done its best to build a formidable get out the vote operation, but it's not at all clear that that operation is devoted to early voting.
Yeah, and also Trump does have big rallies. I mean, he has an enormous number of people show up. But people who've been there have told me that sometimes they don't organize them very well to go out and canvass neighborhoods and to compensate for the fact that Trump has not invested the money in a GOTV, get out the vote program, the way the Clinton people have.
Yeah, and I had a phone conversation with Mr. Trump not too many weeks ago, in which I suggested that you do need a ground game to win a general election, and he said, "Well, I do rallies." And then he explained to me how big his rallies were, something that I kind of knew because I'd seen a lot of them, and we've certainly seen these extraordinary photographs pictures when they show the size of the crowds. They've been huge. I guess the question is whether you use those rallies to have people on hand to sign these people up and get them to canvass, get them to do all the things that a ground game requires. And there's been some sign that they're doing that, but I guess we'll find out soon enough, won't we?
We sure will. 28 days to go, and I don't know about you, but I'm trying to count them quickly. We're all exhausted in the political community.
Yeah, this has been a long year, and in my particular case, taking over all of a sudden just a few weeks ago to do this for the balance of the election, it's been arduous. But Larry, always good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Brett.